Welcome guys to the pre-market overview on July 7th, 2020. Today is Tuesday, so happy Tuesday to you all. Hopefully the start of the week in the markets has gone well for you so far. Okay, so I'm just going to explain very quickly what we're going to cover, what the pre-market overview is. The main purpose of the pre-market overview, where we're going to spend about 15-20 minutes, is we're going to go through our newsletter. So if you're not already subscribed to the newsletter, where you'll obviously get the document yourself, then the email is newsletter@tradewithufos.com. Drop us an email and we'll put you on that list. In that newsletter, we go through 4 of the major markets in the world. We talk about the direction that they're moving in, how long we think they're going to move for, volatility, and where we think price could change, as well as news impact as well. So we go through a lot in the 15-20 minutes we have together. So that's what we'll go through mainly today. Just a reminder, I'm not sure if I said this, my name's Becky. So you can email me if you need to, becky@tradewithufos.com. Always better to email the support team. Unless you have questions that are sort of specifically for us or anything we cover specifically, everything else can go to support. So support@tradewithufos.com, they're much quicker at responding. So always better to get those guys. So I need to read the disclaimers, but before I do so, I'm just going to explain about what we have upcoming. So today being a Tuesday, lost my mouse there, we have stocks at 9 a.m. and then investing at 1 p.m, both Eastern. You can see that we have futures and options on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and we have sharpening sessions over the weekend. That will be psychology and also methodology, sort of reinforcing strategy and things like that. In terms of upcoming live courses, the next one is the psychology course. So you'll notice a lot of what we talk about in the Predictive channel is what goes on between our ears. You can have the best methodology in the world, but if you don't sort of control yourself and your sort of human emotions when it comes to the markets, it's going to be really difficult. So that's why psychology is something that we're really, really big about. The next psychology course, July 11th to the 17th. And then obviously after that, we have back testing, futures, stocks, trading plans. So I'll let you guys have a look at those dates whilst I read the disclaimers, and then we'll crack on and go through the news. Okay, so the following videos, clips, demonstrations are for educational and instructional purposes only. Predictive provides these videos purely for the purpose of demonstrating a method of using the product. Users understand that all the content used in the video is purely for demonstration purposes only and is not a guide and does not provide any indication or prediction of actual results. As a user, you understand and agree that hypothetical results obtained through the demonstration do not indicate in any way the results you may receive on using our products. The following presentation is for educational purposes only. All the symbols and trading ideas discussed are for demonstrating and are not recommendations. Active options and futures trading carries a high degree of risk and may not be suitable for all traders. Past historical trading performance of real or simulated trading does not guarantee success and may not be indicative of future results. You Can Trade is an online media publication service which provides educational investment content and ideas along with live trading demonstrations and does not provide investment or trading advice, research, or recommendations of any kind. Please visit www.youcantrade.com for additional disclosure information. Trying to say that as quickly as Jose does, and I think I'm getting there. Okay, right, so let's have a look here at the, where are we, sorry, the newsletter. Let me just scroll in so those of you on a phone or something can see it a bit better. So this is what the newsletter looks like. As I said, we go through 4 of the major markets in the world. So let's just have a look here. We're going through the S&P, obviously one of the major equity indices in the world, or indexes. We have oil and gold, both commodities, obviously one in the form of energies and one in the form of metal. And we have the euro, one of the highest traded currencies in the world. In fact, for the euro, we're using the euro versus the US dollar. The US dollar itself is responsible for 80% of transactions worldwide every single day. So we've covered quite a lot of what goes on in the markets out there. So even if you don't trade those markets specifically, I'm sure what you will trade will be linked to them or correlated to them. So you'll notice that we go through a daily time frame on each of them. Obviously, different things can happen on different time frames. So if you trade sort of more shorter term or longer term, you know, maybe this doesn't apply, but the daily does sort of fall between what most people do. So as I said before, what we're going to look at is the general direction that the markets are going in, otherwise known as trend, or we call it climate. We're going to be using our Auto Climate app, which is a technology app that lets us know the climate, that gives us that data, gives us those figures. What we also need to understand is if we're going in an upwards climate or an upwards direction, or if we're going in a downwards climate or a downwards direction, how long do we expect that to keep going on for so that we're not late to the party? That's what the propagating figures tell us, is the averages and the probabilities and the statistics for how long markets normally go in a particular direction and how far we're into them so far. And then we look at our nearest UFOs. UFO stands for unfilled orders. What we mean by unfilled orders is where we expect there to be a big stack of buy orders that if price were to get there, it pushes price back up again, or a big stack of sell orders that if price were to get there, pushes price back down again. We use our Auto UFO app in order to find these on the chart to identify these stacks of orders that could turn price. What we're also going to go through is volatility, which is understanding the movement that we would expect in these markets in given time period. Okay, so let's get started. So we're going to go and look at the S&P. So to look at that, we're using SPX.X. That's the symbol we're using. Let's take a look at the S&P. Okay, just need to move this about a little bit because it's a bit scrunched what we've got going on here. There we are. Okay, so I said before we were using our Auto Climate app, and that's what we see here at the bottom. The Auto Climate app is showing us a thick blue dot. Now what that means is we are in a confirmed upwards climate. Blue means it's an up climate or an uptrend, and the thickness of the dot tells us that it's confirmed, which just means we have more probabilities in our favor here if we were to get into a trade that followed that particular trend. So that's the climate. We'll get into propagating in a minute. Let's understand where our UFOs are. We obviously have a couple of buy UFOs down here, these green UFOs, nestled on top of the other. The first one, if I just remove that arrow, we can see it. First buy UFO, the closest buy UFO, where we would expect there to be buy orders that push price back up, is 3143.64 to 3124.52. That's the closest stack of buy orders picked up by the Auto UFO app. Closest stack of sell orders just above here at 3207.18 to 3233.13. As you can see, we're kind of halfway in between them and they're very close to each other. So sort of two forces going off against each other here. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Now, as we saw, we had a confirmed upwards climate. That's what we can see here. So not that arrow I've just drawn, but the one I'm pointing to is a green upwards arrow. And that's the newsletter telling us that we have a confirmed upwards climate. If it was unconfirmed, by the way, there would be a little cross like that next to it. Because we don't have a cross, we know it's confirmed, which means we have better probabilities in our favor. So in terms of the probabilities of it continuing, let's have a look. By the way, all of these numbers, I'm going to round up. Whatever the number is, I'm going to round it up to the next one. Okay, so what we can see here is that on the S&P, it would normally go up for 11 candles on a daily chart. So 11 days. And we are candle number 3. So we have probabilities on our side that that climate is likely to continue because it's not yet hit what is average or statistical for going in the same direction. And we have a confirmed upwards climate. But like we said, we're in the middle between buy UFOs and sell UFOs. And we know that they turn price. So again, be interesting to see how that plays out today or in the coming days. Staying on the S&P, let's just understand about volatility. So I'll just explain quickly what volatility is. When we say volatility, we mean how quickly we expect markets to move, or sort of better said, how far we expect them to move within certain periods of time. We get the numbers from the options of these markets. So options are normally traded by professional traders, especially in these big markets. And if they think the price is going to move particularly far or not very much, that dictates what they're willing to buy and sell the options for. So basically, the options pricing reflects their opinion on volatility, and we get the volatility figures from the options pricing. So the numbers we go through are basically a consensus of what professional traders think in terms of the movement in these markets. Everything is done on an annual basis when it comes to the implied volatility numbers. So that's this column here, current implied volatility. So for the S&P, we use VIX.X. That's where we get the figures from. And we can see on that we would expect a movement in the S&P based on professional traders' opinion of up or down in 1 year of 28.85%. So we can then reverse engineer that to understand what that looks like across different timeframes. So we have this one here. In a day, we would expect a movement up or down of 57.79 points. In 1 week, we would expect a movement either up or down of 127.21 points. And in a month, we would expect a movement either up or down of 264.82 points. Okay, so let's just move on to oil. That's the next market here. We're using @CL. That's the chart symbol that we're using for this. That is the continuous futures contract of oil. So let's take a look. So @CL. Now, once again, I'm just going to move this so we see everything we need to see. Obviously, we've got a couple of scrunched up ones again down here, so I want to spread it out a bit. There we go. Cool. Right. So once again, we have a thick blue dot. In fact, you'll see, same as yesterday, all of our markets today have confirmed upwards climate. So thick blue dots on the Auto Climate app telling us that we're in a confirmed upwards climate. Closest buy UFOs are down here, nestled together. The closest one is this one, 25.87 to 25.36. That's the closest stack of buy orders that we would expect to turn price back up. Yesterday we had one up here, I believe, and that's obviously been hit and taken already. Then we have a sell UFO up here, so that's 53.39 to 55.27. Again, that's where we would expect there to be sell orders that could turn price back down. And as you can see, we're pretty much right in the middle of those two. Okay. So we saw we had a confirmed upwards climate. Now, to understand how long that could last for, take a look here. So these are the numbers we're looking at. What we can see here is that oil goes up for 7 candles on a daily chart normally. That's the statistics, that's the average. And we are on candle number 5. So we still have probability that this climate is likely to continue, and we have a confirmed upwards climate, and we're kind of floating in the middle between the UFOs as well. So again, not really much to push it one way or the other in terms of UFOs that are close by at the moment. As we know, new UFOs can always come into the market and change things, but that's where we're at for now. Okay, so to understand volatility in oil, how fast we would expect it to move, we use OVX.X. That's where we get the figures for this. So we can see that in 1 year, we would expect a movement up or down in oil of 50.73%, which means a movement in 1 day of up or down 1.28 points. In 1 week, a movement up or down of 2.82 points. And in 1 month, a movement up or down of 5.87 points. Okay, so moving on to the next market, we're looking at gold now. So that's at GC, that's the ticker symbol we're using. So we're going to go to another tab for that actually, because of the data that we need. Okay, so again, once again, I'm just going to manipulate this a little bit so I spread it out, make it easier to see. Let's move that over a little bit just in case my face has taken up some of that room. Okay, so down here we have a thick, thick blue dot again. So a confirmed upwards climate once again on this market. Closest buy UFO is this one here, 1668.3 to 1647.0. And just to say on this one, we can see what we expect from buy UFOs is that if price comes back down to them, they hit a big stack of buy orders and it pushes price back up. And that's exactly what we've seen happen here. And price has gone off since then and not come back yet. Closest sell UFO, where we would expect there to be sell orders that could turn price back down, is 1863.6 to 1879.0. And obviously at the moment we can see we've sort of traded in this range for the past few weeks. Okay, so in terms of propagating, so we know we had a confirmed upwards climate, which puts probabilities in our favor because it's confirmed, but what's the probability that it continues? Now, what we see here is that normally, averagely, statistically, gold goes up for 6 candles on a daily chart, and we are on candle number 19. So we are very far overextended as to what is normal on this market, what is statistically likely to happen in this market. So as with all probabilities, statistics and numbers, nothing is 100%, nothing is exact. It's all about putting odds in our favor. And the further overextended we are, the fewer odds that we have, because we've gone way past what is normal to happen in this market. Now, as we saw, again, no real UFOs to push it one way or the other, sort of floating in the middle there, confirmed upwards climate, but overextended by quite a lot to the upside. Now, in terms of movement that we would expect, we're using GVZ or GVZ.X in order to get these figures. So we can see that in 1 year, from the professional opinion of options traders, we would expect a movement on gold either up or down in 1 year of 17.42%, which means a movement up or down in 1 day of 19.6 points, which means in 1 week, a movement up or down of 43.1 points, and in 1 month, a movement up or down of 89.7 points. Okay, last but not least, let's have a look at the euro. So as I said before, we are looking at the euro versus the US dollar. That is the highest traded currency in the world, or currency pair in the world, sorry, I should say. So that's the spot forex. Let's have a look here at the euro versus the US dollar, euro USD. Okay, Once again, just going to move things a bit so we can see what we need to see. Okay. Alrighty, so once again, we have a thick blue dot, so a confirmed upwards climate. So again, probabilities on our side that price is moving to the upside. Closest buy UFO is literally just here. We're inside it by the looks of it at the moment. So it's 1.1252 to 1.1184. I've just rounded those to where they need to be to the closest pip. Again, we can see we had a buy UFO just below. It hit multiple times. We bounced around here for a little while, and now on its way out, it's created a new UFO. Again, that's what we expect buy UFOs to do, is push price up. Then we have a sell UFO up here at 1.1740 to 1.1816. Again, that's where we would expect there to be sell orders that could turn price back down if price gets up. Okay, so once again, we had a confirmed upwards climate. So we have a green arrow here on our newsletter. In terms of propagating, what can we expect in terms of this, the longevity, I guess, of this particular trend or climate? We can see that the euro US dollar goes up normally for 4 candles on a daily chart. Once again, rounding up those numbers. 4 candles on a daily chart, so 4 days, and we're on candle number 2. I've lost my mouse again. There we go, candle number 2. So we're about halfway into the average move or the statistical move that normally happens in this market to that upside. And we've just come off of a buy UFO, created another buy UFO. So it looks like there's a lot of sort of buying pressure or buying forces in that market today. But again, be aware, obviously markets can change, climates can change, new sell orders can come into the markets and change things. So down here, let's have a look at our volatility for what we expect in terms of the movement in a day, in a week, in a month. We are using EVZ or EVZ.X in order to get those figures. What we see from that is that we would expect a movement on the euro, either up or down, in 1 year of 6.92%, which means we would expect a movement of up or down 49 pips in 1 day, up or down of 108 pips in 1 week, and up or down of 225 pips in 1 month. Okay, so those volatility numbers give us an idea of how fast price is likely to move or how far it's likely to move within given time periods. And we can tell from our climate and our propagating in what direction and for how long for, based on probabilities. And we can see from our nearest UFOs where price might be likely to turn. Okay, so just coming down here to understand news. Now, bear in mind, news is an indirect force in the markets. The most direct forces in the markets are buy and sell orders. That's it. That's what makes price go up or down. Obviously, the news can impact those buy and sell orders. So we need to be aware of what's coming out, what might impact the markets, and obviously interpret that for our trade plan however we choose to. Now, this week's quite a boring week, I guess, would be the word for it. The only high impact news we had coming out for US markets was yesterday. That's already come out. We can see the figures here under the actual column. If they hadn't come out, then this would be blank. So when the information comes out, they fill in this column here. Now, we get the information from fxstreet.com/economic-calendar. So for us, we filter by high impact news and we filter by US markets. So if you trade markets outside the US, or if you want to look at news that has different levels of impact, you can go to that link, play about with the filter so that you can see the one that fits best the way you trade and your trade plan. Okay, so like I said, pretty boring week this week, nothing coming up in terms of high impact news that could impact the markets that we know of. Of course, we know things happen unexpectedly as well. Okay, a couple of reminders then before we round off. So if you're not already part of the Tradictive channel, part of the subscription, this is where we do our futures, options, stocks, investing, sharpening, support, all of those kind of things. That's where we do all of those sessions. If you're not already part of the group, then you can join at www.tradictive.com/youcantrade. Just to say, I know sometimes you're not sure, you might have used different educators before, or maybe you're completely new to it and you just want to try it out. That's fine. You can use us for 14 days for free to trial us out, see if it makes sense for you first. So it's a free 14-day access initiative. Sorry, I just breathed in something, I don't know, maybe cough. Okay, so the next course that we have is the psychology course. Sorry, excuse me. Next course is the psychology course, which will be July the 11th to the 17th off the top of my head. You can go to that link there, www.tradictive.com/psychology live, so that you can have a little bit more understanding of how we do that course, the instructor, the modules, and all those kind of things. Again, just to say on courses, you can register for any course and choose an additional course for free. So it has to be of equal or lesser value in order to qualify for that. So if you have a look on the website, you can play about with the different courses there, see which one makes the most sense for you so you can make the most of that offer. Okay, so that's me for today. We will come back, obviously today being a Tuesday, we have stocks and investing during the day, and we will have a session at the end of the day with my colleague Wayne, who will be looking at the after hours review. So that will be 4:15 p.m. Eastern. He'll be looking at what did happen, what did go as expected, what didn't go as expected, and sort of round off the day. I'll be back again tomorrow morning, so I'll see you guys then. Have a good day in the markets. Hope it goes well for you guys, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Take care, guys. Bye.